Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Central United Church. Our minister this morning is both of them. Both Peggy and Paul are taking part in the service. Now, if there are any visitors, we invite you to join us for refreshments after, but there is, of course, the annual meeting. Now, any birthdays or special announcements? Here I go again. Hopefully I don't miss anybody. Nope, not seeing anything. Okay. Whoop. Oh, there's a shy one? Are you sure? Oh, hey, now that's a celebration. Great-granddaughter. Fantastic. Okay. Now, there are some special announcements. Mine, first one, and I don't want to forget it because I wrote it down. World Day of Prayer, March 6th at 1:30, and Marilyn came to me, and we need some ushers. And I do not care whether they are male or female. Everybody is invited to come to World Day of Prayer. Now, and our worship team meeting is changed also to 9:30, and anybody is also welcome to come to the worship team meeting, which is this Tuesday, March the 10th, and it's going to be at 9:30 to allow one of our members to attend another meeting at the same time, or roughly. So anyways, that's next Tuesday, March the 10th, okay? And I believe, let's see, Dave.
I had 4 announcements, now it's 5. We changed our meeting from the 10th to the 17th, so you can resume at 10 for your meeting.
Well, thank you.
Well, the problem was a third of our committee was on your committee. So that settles that.
Everybody ignore.
Okay. The Breakfast Bunch would like to thank all the volunteers, all the helpers, all the helping hands that helped out with our pancake supper last Tuesday night. And the good news is we dropped the price. We took in more money than we have in the previous 2 years. $1,327. So once again, very special thanks. Biggest thanks of all goes to Bob Field upstairs. The man works like a little workhorse. And Bob, I don't know what we'd do without you. Thank you. Some of you may know that we had the Rotary Music Festival here last week, Monday to Wednesday, with some on Thursday as well. And then Friday night, they had their 10 top competitors come back for a concert. And I'm here to tell you, the music here on Friday night was amazing. It was all on the piano, all done up here, all the way from young kids to teenagers. And the music was incredible. The future of music in this country is looking good after that concert. They're holding what is called their Highlights concert on the 3rd of April. It's a Friday night. It'll be here, and that will include more than just the piano. It'll include the other classes that were in competition as well. Now, along the music line, this Wednesday is our first in the Lenten Organ Recital Series. Many of you may have attended the Lenten Organ Recital Series when it was at Trinity Anglican Church, but of course Trinity unfortunately had to close the doors at the end of December last year, and I lobbied long and hard to get the concerts to come here, and we were successful. We didn't have a lot of lead time, but due to the help of a whole bunch of people, Betty Field has done an amazing job promoting the series, and we've got posters out, we've got flyers out, we've got emails out, Facebook posts and what have you. It's at noon hour on Wednesday. $10 gets you an organ recital concert and downstairs in the gym, the Wohelo under Shirley Broadbent will be putting on a soup, sandwich, and dessert lunch. You can't even go out and buy a lunch and soup and salad for $10, so now you get a concert thrown in. And the neat part of this Thursday, or this Wednesday, is the organist is a man named Jan Overdwin, who grew up right here at 139 Wellington Street. World-class organist trained by Al Harrington on this organ. He's coming back to perform. The last thing is, in 2 weeks, we're having the breakfast bunch, and our speaker is Matt Robinson, the official gardener for the city of St. Thomas, and he'll tell you what the secrets are, why we've got such a beautiful Pinafore Park and Waterworks Park. Thank you.
We come to worship not just as individuals, but as part of a community that's connected to one another, and we acknowledge that when we share the peace with each other. So I invite you to turn and greet your neighbors. Lauren. So you laid it on there. The light reminds us that the light of Christ is around us and within us. Create in me a clean heart, O God. You desire truth in our inward being. Restore to me the joy of your salvation. O God, open my lips. And my mouth will declare your praise. Our hymn is 310.
With your
Let's join together to pray. God of wilderness, God of choices, warm our hearts, lift our eyes, open our ears to wisdom's voice. Stir the spirit within us so that we can dare to listen and live our faith wherever there is need for help and hope. Amen.
People get ready, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, you just thank the Lord. People get ready, there's a train to Jordan, picking up the passengers from coast to coast. Faith is the key, open the doors and board them. There's hope for all among the loved the most. There is hope for the hopeless sinner. We all hurt mankind just to save our own. We've got to help those whose chances are thinner. There's hope in the space where faith is known. People get ready, there's a train coming. You don't need no baggage, you just get on board. All you need is faith to hear the diesel humming. You don't need no ticket, just thank the Lord. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready. People get ready.
It's on now? Whoa, there it is. You know, guys, what did you guys have pancakes on Tuesday? You did, yeah. Why did we have pancakes on Tuesday? Why?
Pancake Day.
Pancake Day. It's true. You know, one of the reasons we focus on Pancake Supper, or some would call it Fat Tuesday, some would even call it Mardi Gras. The reality is, that Pancake Supper has a lot to do with some of the traditions of old. You see, the next day, Wednesday, do you know what Wednesday was? It's called Ash Wednesday. It was the beginning of what we call the 40 days of Lent, where Jesus went off into the wilderness and was tempted. Do you want to know a little bit more about that? Yeah. We're going to watch up on the screen here, and our video is going to talk all about Jesus and temptation.
Have you ever been tempted? You know, had the feeling that you really want to have something or do something that you know is wrong? That feeling of wanting to do something you shouldn't is called temptation.
So what do you do when you're tempted? How do you know the right thing to do?
Let's see what Jesus did when he was tempted. Jesus knows exactly what it feels like to be tempted because he was tempted too. In the Bible,
In the book of Matthew,
it says that the Spirit of God led Jesus into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil.
the devil is God's biggest enemy.
Jesus was in the wilderness for 40 days and nights. That's like a whole month.
Plus 10 more days.
During that whole time, Jesus didn't eat anything.
Not even a crumb.
Jesus was really
Hungry.
The devil came to Jesus and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread." Jesus was hungry.
And Jesus is powerful enough to turn stones into bread. But if Jesus did this, he would be obeying the devil.
So, what did Jesus do?
Did he turn the stones into bread?
Did he say yes to temptation? No. Jesus remembered a part of the Bible and used that verse to answer the devil. Jesus said,
No, the scriptures say,
"People do not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God."
but the devil didn't give up.
He kept trying to tempt Jesus. He took Jesus to the highest point of the temple and said, "If you are the Son of God, jump off."
And then the devil, because he's so sneaky,
Used a Bible verse himself.
he was trying to trick Jesus.
He said that if Jesus jumped, the angels would protect him. So what did Jesus do? Did Jesus jump?
Did he say yes to temptation?
No. Jesus remembered another part of the Bible and used that verse to answer the devil. Jesus said, "The scriptures
Also say,
you must not test the Lord your God."
what? I don't get it.
That means don't do something stupid just to see if God is paying attention.
Like saying,
I'm gonna jump my skateboard off this giant ramp to see if God will protect me. Jesus would say no to that.
and that sneaky devil still didn't give up.
He took Jesus to the top of a very high mountain
And showed him all the kingdoms of the world.
and said,
I will give it all to you if you kneel down and worship me.
"Really? Really?"
Really?
Jesus worshiped the devil?
Jesus worshiped the devil?
Would he really put the devil first in his life ahead of God? Jesus said,
Get out of here, Satan.
and then he remembered another verse from the Bible and said,
For the scriptures also say,
"You must worship the Lord your God and serve him only." And that did it.
the devil went away and stopped tempting Jesus.
And angels came. And they took care of Jesus.
So, the next time you're tempted,
And think you really want to do something that you know is wrong, think about Jesus.
talk to him.
Ask Jesus to show you the right way. He knows what it is.
And since he loves you, he wants you to know the right way too.
So Jesus was tempted. And all through this time, right up till Easter, we're going to talk about temptation in different ways. But Jesus, he surpassed that. So that's why we do that that pancake supper on the Tuesday so we can fill up our bellies, so by the time we go through the 40 days as Jesus did, we wouldn't be so hungry. Kind of a little bit more of a tradition. There's a little bit more to it than that, but we'll keep it simple for today. Now, I know you guys are going to go upstairs, right? Did I get it right this time? We're going upstairs. But before we do, we're going to say a prayer. What prayer should we say? The Lord's Prayer? Let us say it together. Our Father,
this is how Matthew tells the story. Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. He fasted 40 days and 40 nights, and afterwards he was famished. The tempter came and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command these stones to become loaves of bread." But he answered, "It is written, one does not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and placed him on the pinnacle of the temple, saying to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and on their hands they will bear you up, so that you will not dash your foot against a stone." But Jesus said to him, "Again it is written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. And he said to him, "All these I will give you if you fall down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away with you, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve only him." Then the devil left him, and suddenly angels came and waited on him. That's how Matthew tells the story. So the fun thing about having two ministers is that you get to get different sides and angles and understandings of the story. In Christian tradition, we tend to think that there's a right way to understand things. But in Jewish tradition, they know that you can come at these holy texts from a bunch of different perspectives and tease them apart and put them together again and maybe understand something differently than you did before. So I'm going to argue with this understanding of Satan as being the tempter. lets us off the hook too easily. You know, the devil made me do it, and therefore I don't have personal responsibility for what happened. Jewish theology and the Old Testament, for example, in Genesis and Job, understands this character of devil as someone who is kind of like the word we would use as devil's advocate. One who helps you sort out your choices, consider them, and look at them differently, and what are the implications. So I want to invite us to think about this devil's advocate, this tester, and what that would mean for how we hear this story. So did you notice how Jesus got into the wilderness in the first place? I'm going to start my argument here. It says, Jesus was led by the Spirit. Jesus was led by the Spirit. Why would the Spirit do that? I don't know about you, but I don't think of God as some kind of trickster waiting for people to mess up. Is the Spirit saying to Jesus, you go out there, we'll test you and see what happens? Either this trickster God is waiting for Jesus to trip, or this trickster God knows Jesus won't trip, but it'll make a good story. Because otherwise, what's even the point of it? The Spirit led Jesus into the wilderness. Why wilderness? Biblically, the Israelites, Elijah, a couple of examples. Biblically, the wilderness is a place where people go to figure things out. It's a place of discernment and learning. It's a place where you go to meet God. Jesus was led into the wilderness for discernment, for a spiritual time. I don't think that's so much about being tempted as it is about learning. And then the verse says, Jesus was led into the wilderness to be tempted. And so you're going to say to me, aha, gotcha there, because look at the word there, it says tempted. How can you argue with that? I can argue with that because that's a bad translation. We translate texts, because this passage was originally written in Greek. We translate texts through the lens that we already look at things through. So we're predisposed to hear that word as tempted. But a better translation of that word is tested. Tested. What do you get tested for? You get tested to see how you're doing, how much you know, to be looking at your choices and weighing what's the best pathway here. That's what testing is about. That's what Jesus went into the wilderness for discernment, to figure out how was he going to go about his ministry, what were his options, what were his choices. So he gets tested. Are you going to turn these stones into bread so that you can eat? Are you going to jump off the temple to see if God's paying attention and will rescue you? Are you going to worship the devil in exchange for power and privilege? What's your ministry going to be about, Jesus? Is this the way you're going to get there? How will he know where God is calling him to go? How he's going to get there? And if God has his back. These are lessons for Jesus in this wilderness time. So here we are on annual meeting Sunday, and annual meeting Sunday we know is mostly about the money. But it's also time to review the past year and to look ahead. To ask those same questions. What's Central's ministry? How are we going to live out that mission statement that we sing every Sunday? What meaning does it have for us in this coming year? Where is God calling Central to go? How will we get there? Does God have our back? This year that we're engaged in intentional interim ministry is a time for discernment. And some of those images of what it's like to be tested will be part of our life together, let me promise you. There are times it will feel like wilderness. There are times it will feel like we are lost and don't know where we're going. There will be times of learning and discovery. There will be times when we will meet God, which is both an amazing and a terrible thing. Sometimes there will be voices among us who will be testers for us, who will ask questions that will make us uncomfortable. And what's our tendency when people ask those kinds of questions in church? What do we want to do? We want to run. We want to hush them up. We want them to stop. We want to say, those aren't the kinds of questions we should be asking at church. We don't want to debate those things. But that way of engaging has good, solid biblical roots. It's in our stories. It's in our sacred texts. We need those voices. So we want to honor them too, even when they make us uncomfortable. This is a time for discernment. A time to figure out how Central will go about its ministry. A time to weigh our options, including the money. A time to consider our choices. Because we're going to sing this hymn, which says, what we choose is what we are, and what we love we yet shall be. So through this year, may we learn what God is calling us to, how to get there, and that God is with us.
morning, everybody. I wanted to get on that train with you and Kim this morning. I know, no tickets required, right? No baggage. Oh, that would be wonderful. And Peggy, your message this morning about testing just fits right in with my prayer. It's wonderful how things like that happen. When I was a little kid, many, many years ago, I attended public school in a 1 to grade 8 classroom. Anybody else out there like that? Good. I see there's a few people didn't put their hand up. They're probably townies that lived in town, and they were just 1 grade in their classroom. But anyway, my poor teacher, Miss Jacobs, she did a wonderful job. We didn't have a lot of tests, you know, but every once in a while we would get some tests. And if you wanted to take it home, if you were proud of it, you could. And if you weren't proud of it, well, the dog ate it, I think. Anyway, at the end of the year, we always got a report card. It was about that big. And she had a lot of reports to put on there because there were like 30 of us every year pretty well with coming and going. Imagine that if the poor teachers had to put up with 30-some kids today. I don't think they could cope with it. But anyway, we did get a report card at the end of the year. And this annual report that we have here is sort of our report card, our tests that we've gone through this year in 2019. And it shows all of the work that the committees have done in our church, the wonderful work that they've done for our own church and for out in the community and even further beyond. I want to thank those who prepared this report. Is Kathy here today? Yes, Kathy. I don't know how we would ever do it without all that typing. You know, there's a whole bunch of pages here. It says 32 pages. That's just great. And I know there were a lot of people that helped put this report together. So I want to thank them for all of that work. Will you pray with me? Lord, thank you for being with all of us through the ups and the downs of 2019, especially those in leadership roles. We're thankful for Pastor Paul and Reverend Peggy for their leadership and partnership with us as we go forth in 2020. We pray for your vision and your guidance at this time. Help us all to grow in faith and be kind, respectful, and fair to all. Be with us today as we study our annual report card and we make plans to go for the future. Amen.
So this is a time to take stock. How is it that you're living your faith? How is it that you're contributing to that mission statement that we sing? Do you feel a nudge, a call, an invitation to do something different or to do something more? When we put our money on the plate, when we think about whether we give by par or whether we give electronically or whether we give online, however you do it, it's not just about the money. Not that that's not important, but it's also about our response to this awesome invitation to live our faith. May we respond with our lives. Our hymn is As a Fire is Meant for Burning. Find hymn 578, let me clear, we're singing it to a different tune, so it's a little bit of shuffling going on there on the organ bench. They're saying, how hard can it be to find a number? So this story that we read of Jesus going out into the wilderness, do you know when that happens? It happens right after his baptism. When the heavens have opened and the dove has come down and Jesus has heard the voice saying, "You are my beloved." Because we are beloved of God, we are gifted with purpose, individually and as a community of faith. Let's celebrate the gift. Let's honor the gift by figuring out what's our mission, what's our ministry, what's our calling, what are we to be about, and then going and doing it, knowing that God's Spirit rests also on us.
Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Test test test. Test 1 2 3. Test 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. Check 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 check. 1 2 3. Check.
That was beautiful. I wish you would do that here.
If people can find a place quickly, we will get started with our meeting right away.
I'll go get them. Okay.
I hope you all have copies of the report, and if you don't, there are still some here. So if you raise your hand, we'll get one to you. All right. Okay. Anyone else who needs a report, if you put your hand up, Kathy will get to you. Okay. If you turn to the agenda on page 3, we will follow that, and we will begin right now. And the first order of business is to declare a chair and a secretary. Kathy and I have been asked, but would someone please make it a motion? Sandra Westaway. And a seconder, Terry Lanning. All in favor? Opposed? Can't hear yet? Okay, I'll get closer. Okay, I'm calling for the vote then for Kathy and I to carry on with the meeting. All in favor? Opposed? I think that's carried, Kathy. And the second order of business is the